That's 3 equations. Each one is linear. Oh, let's go back to that. How do we know these are linear? How do you know those make a line? Because all the exponents in x and y are a 1, okay? If that thing was a 2, it wouldn't make a straight line anymore. It would look like that, a curvy thing. It's called a parabola, okay? So these are all linear, and we know that. I told you, that's the only thing you're going to get in grade 10. Okay, they all make lines. This one sucks. It's stupid. It's general form. It doesn't really tell you anything. It's not helpful at all in grade 10. Okay? Doesn't tell you the slope. Doesn't tell you the y-intercept. Doesn't tell you a point. Doesn't tell you anything. But it's useful later on in life. Like when you're doing socials. No, I'm kidding. Okay, that's slope y-intercept form. That tells you something. It tells you the slope. It tells you the y-intercept. If I give you that, you should know how to make a line. Graph it. You know how to do that? I hope so. This you can also graph a line with if I give it to you. That's the most recent one. That's slope point form. Okay? These are on your formula sheet, but this is not. Okay? Now they're not going to ask you which one's slope point form. But you got to kind of know which one to use for what. If you're given a y-intercept and a slope, you're going to want to use that. If you're given if you're given the slope and a point, you're going to want to use that one. Okay? You can graph it right away. You don't have to mess around with this algebra stuff. Okay? Change this to that. All right? So I'm just going to do 2 questions out of this, and we're moving on to lesson 6. Given point P and point Q, determine the equation in general form, you got to know which one that is, of a line passing through those 2 points. Cool. What do you do? Can I just take those 2 points and like put it in that general form and get the equation? No, you can't. Ask yourself the question, what can you do? What do you know how to do when you're given 2 points? Like, is this thing on your formula sheet? Yeah. You can find the slope if you're given 2 points, can't you? Okay, so well, let's do that. I'm going to need to know the slope if I'm going to get an equation of a line. Okay, so label it if helpful. I recommend that, but if you're pretty good, you will come to this conclusion, I hope. Okay. The second point minus the first point for y over the second point minus the first point for x. That's what this says. Okay? Now don't have to be a hero. If you think you need to label it, you should. I'm saying you all should. Okay? Don't make simple mistakes. Because if you make this wrong, everything else is wrong, isn't it? The whole equation for the line is going to be wrong. So what's minus 6 plus 1? Minus 5. Minus 2 minus 3, that's also minus 5. What's my slope? 1, which means 1 over 1. Rise is 1, run is 1. Did I say run or 1? Anyway, okay, that's a slope. I need this in this form. Okay, but you can't do anything like that. Either I have to put it in slope y-intercept form, or I have to put it in slope point form. If you know the y-intercept, you're going to put it in slope y-intercept form. Anybody know the y-intercept of this thing? No. Could you graph those 2 points, make a line with a ruler, and maybe find it? Sure, you could, but that's probably not the best way to go about it. Do you know a point on this line that contains these 2 points? Yeah, you got 2 points there. So you're going to want to do this. You're going to want to put it in this form. Slope point form, because you know a point, now you know the slope. Okay, which one do you want to use? Does it matter? No, it doesn't. Let's use the first one. So y minus y1 is minus 1 equals m x minus x1 is 3. Okay? That's the equation of this line. But I just got to put it in general form because that's how they want it. Okay? So y plus 1 is 1 times x, which is x. 1 times negative 3 is minus 3. That's still the equation of this line. That's in not any form at all, really. Okay? So there's a number, there's a number. Let's minus 1 from both sides to collect them. So we got y is x minus 4. Hey, that looks like slope y-intercept form. But don't stop there. That's not how I want it. I want it in general form. What do I got to do to put it in general form? Got to make it look like this. Okay, so if I take that y and throw it to the other side, or if I subtract y to both sides, I have 0 is x minus y minus 4. Am I done? Sure. Because if 0 equals this, then this thing equals 0, and that's exactly what that looks like. That's in general form. All right? So is there another way to do it? Yeah. I did this yesterday. You could say to yourself, remember this with the two kids yesterday? What were their names? John and Nikki? It was Nikki? Good memory. Okay, remember the one guy didn't like this way. He liked this way. Now I'm not going to completely do it, but is there a way to find B? You don't know the y-intercept, but can you find it? Yes, you can, because I know an x and a y point here. M is 1, x is 3. Okay, I could solve that for B. Does that look like minus 4? Sure does to me. That's 3, minus 3 to both sides, minus 1 minus 3, b is 4. You could do it that way too. Then you would end up with the same thing here, and rearrange it to get general form. Okay? So there's lots of ways you can skin a cat, as they say. Alrighty? Let's go on to this thing. Here's this perpendicular stuff again. You may see another question like this. Find the equation. Why is it always general form? I don't know. That's what they like to do. Perpendicular to this one, and with the same, what does this say? Nicole? What does this say? Just read that. X-intercept. Why am I emphasizing that? Because it's not the y-intercept. Have we seen one like this before? I don't think so. X-intercept as this. Okay? So, first of all, if I got a line perpendicular to this one, if I find the slope of this one and take the negative reciprocal, that's going to be the slope I need. Right? Let's start there. What's the slope of this guy? I have no idea. I won't know until I put it in slope y-intercept form. So let's do that. I got to make it look like this. Okay, I got to solve this thing for y. So take the 5x and chuck it over there. Okay, take the minus 10 and chuck it over there. When I take something and put it on the other side of the equal sign, what happens to the sign, Calvin? Yeah, just reverse the sign, make it opposite sign. If it's plus, make it a minus. If it's a minus, make it a plus. Again, that's the same thing, I better say it again, as just minus 5x to both sides, right? It's gone here, put it to the other side, now it's minus 5x, right? Add 10 here, add 10 there. That's gone. So I have minus 7y is minus 5x plus 10. Because you still get this in grade 11, right? You have this big long equation. It's like 18 lines. You make one little simple mistake here with your algebra, and you get a minus instead of a plus. Everything else is junk. Okay? So just be careful. Get rid of the minus 7. So y is mx plus b. Okay? Now I know the slope of this thing. I want a line perpendicular to this thing. So the slope I need is flip the numbers, change the sign. Okay? I'm half done. I need to know something here. I need to know the y-intercept. That doesn't tell me the y-intercept, says x-intercept. Or I need to know the point. What do you know about the x-intercept? What happens? Yeah. Y is 0. That's an x-intercept. X minus 0 minus 12 is 0. X is 12. Is that a point? What's y again at the x-intercept? Hey, there's a point. That's actually easier than solving that thing for the y-intercept, right? Putting it in y equals mx plus b form to find b. I got the slope. I got a point. Slope point form. Okay, got everything I need, and I'll just, again, rearrange this and make it look in general form. What happened to all my stuff? Here. Okay, let's lasso that guy. I'm gonna need some more room. Okay, so y minus my point is 0 is, what's the slope? Negative 7/5. X minus my x point is 12. There's the equation of the line I need. I just need to put it in general form. Okay, so let's just get rid of that 0. Y minus 0, I may as well just write the y. Okay, now at this point, remember this, I saw a lot of deer in headlights yesterday when I did this. Do you want me to, like, we got to get rid of this 5, right? I can't have a fraction in general form. You want me to multiply this first, or do you want me to just leave it like that? Who wants me to multiply it out? And who wants me to leave it like that? Okay, so I'm multiplying it out. All right. Okay, so minus 7/5 times x, okay? And then I got negative 7/5 times minus 12. So in other words, I have minus 7/5 x. This is plus, what's that? 7 times 12. 7 12s is 84 fifths. Okay? That's the reason why maybe you don't want to multiply it out, because, you know, you got big ugly fractions. But that's fine. In general form, ax plus by plus c equals 0. These all have to be integers, not fractions. I've got to get rid of those fractions. And x has to be positive. It's negative, so I've got to move it over here. Okay, how do I get rid of the 5? What's my trick? Tyrell? Times everything by 5. How come that disappeared again? Okay, so do this. You can do, let me repeat this again. You can do whatever you want to in an equation. The first rule of algebra is whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. Okay? Does this work? Am I doing it to both sides? Yes. I'm multiplying everything by 5, the left side and the right side. Okay? So I got 5 times y equals 5 times negative 7/5 x and 5 times 84 fifths. Okay, 5 times everything. All 3 terms. I hope you see those 5s are going to disappear. So 5y is, the big kid way is, what's 5 divided by 5? It's gone. But again, if you like going 5 times negative 7 is negative 35, divided by 5 is negative 7, that works too. But do you really want to do that with this? 84 times 5 is 340. Don't do that. What's 5 divided by 5? What are you left with? 84. Okay. One little thing left to do, and it's in general form. Let's throw that over there. Let's throw that over there. Positive 7x plus 5y minus 84 is 0. Okay? Piece of cake, right? It's about as hard as they're going to get, guys. Okay? Like, what else can we give you? Lots of knowledge. Got intercepts. Remember, that's where we started? Remember we did 2 quizzes on that? Okay. Slopes, perpendicular stuff, equations of lines, 2 different lines, general form. Okay? It's all there in one little question. Well, big question. All right. Skip on over to graphing linear equations. There's our 3 ways to write equations. I just want to look at this. Without altering the form in which the linear equation is written, explain, that means English, it's not traditional math, the different strategies used to graph without a graphing calculator, okay, which most of you don't have, each of the following linear relations. Draw the graph of each on the grid. Okay. Start with A. What form is that in? Slope, y-intercept. Do you know how to graph that? I already asked this 10 minutes ago. Okay, I hope so. You don't start here, slopes 2. Okay, 1, 2, 1, yep, there's my line. Now, you don't know your line's there. Maybe it's over here. Maybe it's there. Maybe it's here. Hey, maybe it's there. All those have a slope of 2, but they're all wrong. Okay, where do you got to start? With the y-intercept. I know it goes through that point, right there. Okay, now take your slope, which is 2, 2 units of rise, 1 unit of run. Do I want to go this way or that way? A or B, Mila? You like B? Who agrees? Yeah, because that's a positive slope. It's a positive line, okay? There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. Go down. 2 units of rise, 1 unit of run in the right direction. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. Kind of looks like a line to me. Okay? So I didn't write it down, but I said, explain, you start with the y-intercept, then use your slope, graph the line. Okay? Second one. What form is this? You need to know by looking at it. Slope point form. Again, the slope is 2. What is the point? And this one's kind of tricky. It's y minus y1 is slope x minus x1. That gives a point positive x1, positive y1, okay? So if there are minuses in here, it's the same point. If there's a plus, well, then that's got to be a negative point, all right? So what's my point here? Minus 1, 2, okay? So if I'm going to write that in the same form here, there, y minus 2 is m x minus 1. Okay? So my point is x1, that's minus 1. y1, that's 2. Okay? It has to be in this form. You have to have a minus here. Okay? So the only way this is going to make it look like plus is that it's got to be a minus 1. I know that's tricky, but that's what you guys have to digest. So minus 1 and 2. There's the point, right? Oh, why am I up here? There we go. Minus 1, 2. All right. You're asking yourself, how did you know that wasn't right? Okay, what's my slope? 2. Positive. There, 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 there. Okay, I'm not going to do them all. Does that look similar to the first line? Suspiciously similar. Very close. Actually, they're exact. Yeah. If you convert this to y equals mx plus b, you'll get y is 2x plus 4. Okay? It's the same line. Any guesses what this line's going to look like? Let's find out. How can you solve this by graphing it? You got, well, hang on. No, we don't want to alter it. That's a no-no today. Yeah, you could, of course. Is there another way? I don't know the slope. I don't know the y-intercept. I don't know the x-intercept. Can I find the x-intercept? What happens at the x-intercept? Awesome. Hey, let's do that. 2x minus 0 plus 4 is 0. 2x is minus 4. So my x-intercept is minus 2. As a coordinate, that's minus 2, 0. Does that look like a point on here? Does that look like a point here? How many points do I need to graph a line? Okay, I got my x-intercept. How about my y-intercept? What happens at the y-intercept? X is 0. Let's let it be 0. Minus y plus 4 is 0. Now that you know this little trick of throwing something to the other side of the equation, you could, most of you, maybe before yesterday, would go, hey, minus 4 to both sides, and then you got minus 4, y, is minus 4. What would you want to do now? How about I just throw the y over here and make it positive? Because I don't want negative y-intercept, I want positive y-intercept. What's the y-intercept? What's he saying? Okay, let's add y to both sides. Okay, 4 is y. That's your y-intercept. Didn't we already know that? Yes, we did. Okay, all you need is 2 points to make a line. There it is. That's the exact same equation, written 3 different ways. Okay, slope y-intercept way, slope point way, and in general form. Any questions on that? All right, flip on over to 599. So this isn't really new. We've already kind of done this, and those of you in science have done this as well. Slope as a rate of change. Anyone know what the odometer on your parents' car displays your speed as in terms of units? Kilometers per hour. That's a rate. It's a distance divided by a time. That's a ratio of your distance over your time. D over T is known as velocity or speed. One has direction, one doesn't, but we're not getting into physics, okay? That's all this is. If you're given a graph of distance versus time, who's got it memorized from science? What's the slope of a dt graph? You should. Well, you're going to know very soon. Okay? Here's 2 points. Do you know how to find the slope of 2 points? Sure. Okay? You take y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. If you see it here, great. If you don't make a mistake. Okay? Label them. x1, y1, x2, y2. And if it even helps, okay, you could even plot it there. That's at 1 hour. They went 40 kilometers. Right? That's the point. Here is 3 hours, 120 kilometers. Because now we have units with the slope. Okay, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay, but I want to put units in here because I'm given them. What's the units of rise? Kilometers. What's the units of run? Hours. We know kilometers per hour, or kilometers divided by hours, is a speed, right? You know, 30 in a school zone, that's okay. 80 in a school zone, that's a no-no. Mr. Policeman catches you, it's a lot of money, like $300, right? Okay, what's the slope? 120 minus 40 is 80. 3 minus 1 is 2. Would that be like 40 kilometers an hour? Sure. Okay. If you were going faster, how would the slope of this line look? Would it be steeper? Yes. If you were going slower, it would be less steep. What if the line looked like that? What would your speed be? What's the slope of a horizontal line? 0. Yeah. Think about it. As time goes on, if your distance doesn't change, you're at the same amount. Let's say it was 120. That means you're stopped, right? Yeah. Okay? So that's a rate of change. That's it. Is it increasing? Yes, it is, because we have a positive slope. It goes up to the right. And what's the rate? 40 kilometers per hour. All right? Baking. You can also have a graph. Now you have units. That looks American to me, but guess what all your stoves are in? Are they in Celsius? What temperature do you guys bake a pie at? You know from Foods? That's more like a lasagna. Yeah, 350, 375, 325. Is that Celsius? The oven would melt. That's Fahrenheit. You know, again, this is one of these units. It's like, you know, construction. It's always going to be inches, right? Cut me a piece of wood. I need a 9 7/16. Okay, nobody's ever going to say millimeters and centimeters. So most of these are in Fahrenheit. Anyway, I don't want to do that question. Fuel in a tank. We've seen this, right? When you drive, you burn fuel, it goes down. That's decreasing. Here's the one I want to look at. Why do these keep disappearing? And the reason is, I just like to say this guy's name. Tyrone. Tyrone is paid a base salary per week plus commission for selling toasters. Okay? Last week his sales totaled $3,500 and he earned $620. Okay? This week he earned $680 for selling $4,250 worth of toasters. They're popular. They keep making them cheaper and cheaper, so people keep having to buy them more frequently. That's the story of appliances. Okay? On a grid, plot the ordered pairs to represent this information. If it's time, hopefully you guys remember, you should always put that on the x-axis. Time is always, 99% of the time, independent. The distance, well, the temperature of the oven depends on time. The distance you drove depends on how long you drive for, which makes more sense here to put on the x-axis. Let me say this two ways. The amount he sells for the store depends on how much we pay him, or, okay, the amount he gets paid depends on how much he sells. for sure. Let me say the first one again differently. Okay, I want him to sell lots of stuff. I'm the store owner. I'm going to pay him $10,000 a month. Then he's going to sell lots of toasters for me, right? No, he's not even going to bother coming to work. Why would he? He's making 10 grand a month. He'll sit his butt at home. Okay? You want the Jimmy Pattison method, right? I'm going to pay you nothing, but I'll pay $1,000 for every car you sell. There's a lot of incentive to sell a lot of cars, isn't there? Okay? And every month, the salesman who sells the least amount of cars, bye-bye, find yourself a new job. He's always going to have the best salespeople every month, right? Is it mean? Yeah. But is he a multi-billionaire? Yeah. Okay. Sorry? Yeah, it kind of worked. Business is ruthless. Okay. So, yeah, how much he makes depends on how much he sells for the store. This is called commission, right? The more you sell, the more you get paid. If you're a realtor, obviously you want to sell a lot of homes. You make $15,000 a home. I want to sell 100 homes a month. Some people actually do it. Okay? So, they've already given us the graph. Sales, okay, his earnings depends on sales. Sales is the independent. The money he gets is dependent upon how much he sells. Okay? Now the tricky part here is these are both in the same units, dollars and dollars. Okay? But that's fine. So, plot these two things. Well, sales, okay, he had 3,500 and he had 4,250. There's going to be 3,500 and bigger than that is 4,250. And on earnings, one of them was 620 and one of them was 680. Okay? There's a point, a plot point. Okay, just match it up. 3,500 is 620. There it is. And here's the other one. 680 is 4,250. There it is. Does it make sense to join these? Is this discrete or continuous data? It's hard to say. Could we divide this sales to the penny? I don't know. Maybe. Let's just do it. Okay? You can argue it each way. It's like shoe sizes in China. Okay, calculate the slope. Do you have 2 points? Can you calculate the slope here? Now the tricky part with this question, if you didn't notice already, is they give you these two numbers, but then they reverse them when they give them to you again. Did you notice that? Here they gave you sales, then earnings. Here they give you earnings, then sales. So be careful. Don't subtract the wrong one from the wrong one. And they're all in dollars. If you plot the points, it's going to be easier. Okay? Slope is rise over run. So this point minus that point over the corresponding x points. Okay? It's easy to make a mistake. Just be careful. Is $60 over $750. But that's earnings per sales, right? Rise over run, earnings per sales. Let's make this thing a decimal. I know I said don't do it before, but in this example it makes sense. 0.08. Earnings, dollars, per sales, dollars. Okay, that's what the slope is. It's just a number. What's the meaning of this slope? Liam? Sweet. State as a percent his rate of commission. Move the decimal 2 spots to the right. Tyrone makes 8% commission on every toaster he sells. He's going to want to sell a lot of toasters, like 1 million toasters a month. He would be rich. They don't have 1 million in stock, though, unfortunately. Okay? That's what the slope means. It's his what's the wording? Well, he earns 8 cents for every dollar of sales. 8%. Okay? When you sell a home, the rate is 7% on the first 100,000 and usually 3.5% on the rest. It's split between the two realtors. You want to be the listing realtor. It's easier than the buying realtor who has to run around in their car showing their clients dozens and dozens of homes. Okay? When you got $1 million house, add it up. What's 2.5% of 900,000? It's a lot of money. They can make 50 grand by selling one home. That's like my yearly salary as a teacher. Does this make any sense in the world? That's the way it is. Now, he does get a base salary. If he sells nothing, he still gets paid. That's what base salary means. Okay? It's like being a waiter. You get minimum wage, but you're hoping you get a lot of tips. Some waiters make $60,000 a year. Right? You still get a base salary. If I draw that line poorly over to the side, there is some point where you got $0 in sales, but he still has some money to bring home. Okay, that's what a base salary is. He gets paid salary plus commission. Okay, this isn't enough to live on, but at least it's something. We got to know what that is. Does that look like something on our graph? Does that look like an intercept? Ah, kind of looks like a y-intercept, doesn't it? Okay, so what do? I know a line can be written like that. Y is mx plus b. Do I know the slope for this line? Yep, it's 0.08. Do I know a point on this line? Sure, I know 2 points on this line. I know that, I know this, I know that. I can solve for the y-intercept. Okay, so which point do you want to use? Doesn't matter. Which one did they use? 620 is the slope times, what's the corresponding x point for this one? 3,500 plus b, which is the y-intercept. Okay, if you do the math here, guys, trust me, you get 340. That's dollars. That's his base salary. So again, if he sells nothing, well, he'll soon lose his job, right? But the point is, at least he gets 340 bucks a week if he sells no toasters. Obviously, he wants to sell toasters, he gets paid more money, right? Okay, so this is meaning of slope and lines and stuff. Okay, that's it. That's it. All right, now questions. Questions. I'm giving you a couple from, where do I write this? The first one, a couple from the second one, a couple from the third one, but this way we're done today. Okay? If and when you get done in, like, I don't know, 2.5 minutes, practice test out of the book, which I will repeat on your practice test handout. But if you want to get a start on that, okay, that would be in your best interest. Because you won't be able to do all this Monday, right? That will be too late.